Good morning, Sangha friends.
Hi, Joe. Good morning.
Whoops. There we go. Good grief. I must have some sort of subconscious fear of stage fright. I inadvertently turn off the camera. Anyways, thank you for being here. We're recording this session. So why don't we go ahead and settle in for some meditation? Please settle into a comfortable meditation posture. And then using whichever method you find most effective, please allow both your physical body and your mind to start to settle and rest, to become quiet and still. And then when you're ready in your own time, please gently transition into meditation on the inner body. Deep within the Himalayan mountain range, there is a mountain that has never been observed by human eyes. This mountain has consciousness, and as such, you can know that year after year, decade after decade, century after century, all this mountain does is observe silently. Snow may fall on the mountain or not. The wind may blow. The sun may shine. An avalanche may occur on a neighboring mountain. The mountain simply observes silently. No praise, no blame, no attachment, no aversion, no comparing, no expectation. Whether this meditation continues for a few more moments or a few more years, please continue to observe sensations within your own body mountain. in engaging in meditation on the inner body. A completely valid approach is for you to observe sensations in so-called isolated parts of your body, your hands, your feet, the region of your chest, and so forth. Another completely valid method of this type of meditation is for you to observe one universal sensation, a sensation that extends from the crown of your head to the tips of your fingers, the soles of your feet, and everywhere in between. For the last couple of moments of our meditation this morning, if you're not already doing so, please experiment with being the silent observer of one sensation that pervades your entire inner body. Now, very gently, please redirect your awareness. Please gently and gradually allow your consciousness to become less absorbed as you begin to arise from meditation. We dedicate all of the merit from this morning's meditation and Dharma talk to world peace. May all beings without exception enjoy an abundance of pure air and water, delicious, nutritious food, safe, warm, dry, reliable, affordable shelter, and comfortable, functional, attractive clothing. And with everyone's basic needs met, may we all enter and progress on wisdom paths that lead to complete and permanent liberation from all forms of suffering. We make special dedications this morning to Ozzy the dog and our Sangha sister, Karen Murphy. May these friends enjoy a swift and complete return to perfect health. Completely fill up your belly and lungs with air. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and bring your meditation to an end. Thank you. So for some reason, you guys, my camera isn't working. Let me see if I can activate a different camera and if that might help. No. That's the one that I've been using. Let me just try one more time. Let's see if that one works. That's kind of the camera that's inside the computer. It's not as good as the attachment that we have. Anyways, welcome back. I hope you had a blissful meditation this morning. We are continuing our discussion of the, and by the way, if you guys are wondering what this little attachment is, it's like a clamp for the other camera that's attached to the top of the laptop computer. So we are continuing in our discussion of the perfection of effort. And I'd like to make a clarification. In the last yesterday's class, or excuse me, Monday's class, I was doing some work on the video recording and realized that I was making a mistake in referring to the laziness of being attached to what is meaningless or non-virtuous. I was saying meaningless and non-virtuous. It's actually meaningless or non-virtuous. An action of laziness in that regard can be meaningless and not necessarily non-virtuous. For example, I can be reading a Hollywood gossip page, for example, and reading about the goings-on of various Hollywood celebrities, and I can read about different people and what they're doing, and that may be considered a meaningless activity, the laziness of being attracted to what is meaningless. But then if and not necessarily non-virtuous. I mean, that's kind of up to you to decide. I think for me, I would regard it as being meaningless, but not virtuous. But if I happen to go out and read the gossip page and then go out and talk to a friend and say, did you hear about Brad Pitt's newest love interest? You're not going to believe this. And that, for me, I think would spill over into non-virtuous, perhaps the non-virtuous action of idle speech. One of the non-virtuous verbal actions, or actually it's called idle chatter, the non-virtuous action of idle chatter. So just to be clear, we can engage in the laziness of being attracted to what is meaningless, might not necessarily be non-virtuous. And just another clarification is that the sutras do not say that reading the Hollywood gossip page is a meaningless action. If I engage in that activity kind of with no intention, just something to do, then probably it could be regarded as being a meaningless activity. But my intention could be to become better acquainted with the sufferings of Hollywood celebrities. People like Brad Pitt and other famous movie stars, they don't have any privacy. I've heard stories of, some of these Hollywood celebrities have to disguise themselves have to wear special get-ups and even like fake facial hair for some of the men so that they can have some anonymity. That sounds pretty dreadful to me, actually. And maybe through reading the Hollywood gossip page, I can become more familiar with the sufferings of Hollywood celebrities and thus cultivate a deeper level of compassion for them. So here we are again, back to intention. The action itself of body, speech, and mind, without exception, all of them are neither inherently virtuous, inherently non-virtuous, or inherently somewhere in between. For us, it's the intention that makes it virtuous, non-virtuous, or neutral. So can't be reminded of that often enough as far as I'm concerned. So we're going into the third of the three types of lazinesses. The first that we discussed was the laziness of procrastination on Friday. And just a minute ago, we were talking about the laziness of being attracted to what is meaningless or non-virtuous. And the third is the laziness of discouragement. And this is a pretty straightforward, discussion or a Dharma teaching, the laziness of discouragement. And it's I think, really serendipitous that we're here on January 6th talking about the laziness of discouragement, because most of the people on this call or participating in these classes do so by virtue of your participating in the 30-day meditation programs that we started in January of the first week of January 2021, or the first week of January 2022. So some of you are coming up on your 1-year anniversary of having a meditation practice, some on your 2nd year. Either way, congratulations and happy anniversary. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. There are others on this call who may have been meditating long before we did our 30-day meditation practices, the 30-day meditation program. Whichever, whether it's 12 months, 24 months, or longer, it is not uncommon for people in meditation practice in particular, spiritual practice in general, to get to a point in practice where they kind of make an assessment of their practice and their state of mind and their state of heart, and potentially become discouraged with the results. It's not uncommon for meditators in particular to say, geez, I've been meditating on patient acceptance for this number of months or this number of years, and the same things push my buttons. It's the same people, the same situations push my buttons and make me angry. It's discouraging, and I don't think that this stuff works. This meditation business or this Dharma study, whatever it might be, it doesn't work for me. And we might be inclined as a result of that line of thinking to de-emphasize or maybe even abandon our meditation and Dharma practices altogether. This would constitute the laziness of discouragement. Yeshua saying in Joyful Path of Good Fortune gives a lot of attention to the laziness of discouragement. And I'm not gonna read from this section because we've been talking about the perfection of effort for several classes now, and I don't want to overload us with too much information. But please just let me tell you that there is an extensive discussion in Joyful Path of Good Fortune on the laziness of discouragement, as well as other aspects of the perfection of effort. For example, there are So we've been talking about the perfection of effort and laziness being an obstacle or an opponent to our application of effort. That's taken up the majority of what we've been talking about the last several weeks. But there are other items that are discussed in the sutras with regard to effort. Moving beyond the different forms of laziness, there are three types of effort that are addressed: armor-like effort, the effort of gathering virtuous dharmas, and the effort of benefiting others. And then there are various powers for increasing our effort: the power of aspiration, the power of steadfastness, the power of joy, and the power of relaxation. So I just say that to say that there is more material, although we're going to move on from our discussion of the perfection of effort after Monday's class. Monday's class will talk a little bit more about the perfection of effort, and then we'll move on to the perfection of concentration, also known as the perfection of mental stabilization. But before I let you go, I just wanted to share with you something that has really served to inspire me in my application of effort and engaging in the perfection of effort. And I'll give you a little bit of a warning. I'm going to go over just a couple of 2 or 3 or 4 minutes in this class. So if you need to leave, please feel free to do so. And I would invite you to listen to the last part of our class on the YouTube recording at the YouTube channel. But some of you may have heard me talk about the fact that my favorite book in the whole world, my very favorite Dharma text, the most important Dharma text I ever read, and it's like my Bible, it's like my Dharma Bible, is the Ganges Mahamudra. I was first introduced to the Ganges Mahamudra maybe 10 or 12 years ago, and I knew immediately that it was the most important thing I'd ever read. It's a 12th century, an 11th century text. It's a transcript of a teaching that was given by an Indian yogi, a great Indian yogi named Tilopa, to his main student Naropa on the banks of the river Ganges. Hence the Ganges Mahamudra. And the word Mahamudra in this context means great seal, S-E-A-L, great seal, as in great seal of reliability, great seal of authenticity, maybe even great seal of unsurpassability. An amazing text. And I could go on for a long time talking about how much this text means to me. I'll just tell you that the original copy that I have read it so many times that it's like falling apart. The cover is worn out and it's like broken up into 3 different sections. And one of my friends saw it, one of my Sangha friends saw it and said, "We need to get you a cover for that book." And so she handmade me a cloth cover for the book, which I wrapped up in it. And then I wore out the cover to the book. I read it so often and have relied on it so many times. So, but what I'd like to share with you, and what I think impacted me so strongly in my first reading of the Ganges Mahamudra was just the potential for accomplishment as presented by Tilopa to Naropa. Just the absolute certainty that I felt when I read this, that I could not only have realizations, attainments, but that I could complete the path, that I could complete the path. It wasn't until I read this text that I came to know that completing the path in this lifetime was possible for me. And I'd just like to just read a couple of very short excerpts from the text. At one point in the Ganges Mahamudra, this is a very short text, by the way, it's only 7 or 8 pages, with big print and double spaced. And with regard to with Mahamudra, and it doesn't really even matter if you don't know what Mahamudra means. Eventually we'll get to Mahamudra and talk about it. So Tilopa writes, for example, it being Mahamudra. Tilopa writes, for example, it is like looking in the middle of the sky and not seeing anything. In the same way, when your mind looks at your mind, thoughts stop and you attain unsurpassable awakening. Elsewhere, he says, if free of all intention, you do not abide in extremes, you will see without exception the meaning of all the Buddha's teachings, or of all the sections of the Buddha's teachings. If you rest in this, you will be liberated from the prison of samsara. If you rest evenly within this, all of your wrongdoing and obscurations will be burned. This is called, for those reasons, the torch of the doctrine. You will be liberated from the prison of samsara. This on the authority of Tilopa, which I think is absolutely irrefutably reliable. And finally, the last excerpt I'd like to share with you from Tilopa says, this is the result of Mahamudra meditation. Complete liberation from all conceptual extremes is the supreme monarch of views. Boundless vastness is the supreme monarch of meditations. Being directionless and utterly impartial is the supreme monarch of conduct. Self-liberation beyond expectation or hope is the supreme result or fruition. Those excerpts relate specifically to Mahamudra, but they can also be applied to all aspects of Dharma practice. Dharma practice can liberate you. It will liberate you from the sufferings of samsara, from the prison of samsara. And if we can come to really connect with and appreciate that truth, then it will be easy for us to apply effort and oppose laziness. When it comes to our Dharma practice, it comes down to having an appreciation and recognizing what this stuff means and what potential it presents to us in our life. When we recognize that, we will apply effort and we will be able to complete the path. So thank you for indulging me in that personal testimonial. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And if I don't see you at Medicine Buddha meditation tomorrow, I hope to see you on Monday. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Most welcome.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Bye.
Bye,
everybody.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.